throw him in the bin. So there's Erin going to hell. Because what she hasn't been sentenced yet, of course, so I will still mention her. But even if she's sentenced to life imprisonment, that's nothing to the sentence she'll get when she passes on from this world. She'll be going to hell, definitely, and most of these perpetrators will be. So, but I've got to work out how to do it where she turns around with it and goes into the tunnel, but I don't know how to do that. So, not yet, but I will find out. So that's what I was messing about with today. So, anyway, so what have I got to tell you about Erin? Well, it's a little bit worrying, but to be honest, I don't think it is worrying. So there's been a big kerfuffle started up because the jury, when they were deliberating in Erin Patterson's case, let me put a picture of the victims up there. Really all we need to concentrate on are the victims of these crimes. And this, of course, was Erin Patterson, who murdered 3 of her relatives, her in-laws, and nearly murdered a 4th one who just survived by the skin of his teeth, Don and Gail Patterson, and Heather and Ian Wilkinson. And she's just been found guilty of poisoning them with death cap mushrooms. Very unusual crime. Prepared a meal for them, invited them round for lunch on the pretext that she wanted to discuss her health, that she said she had cancer, but she didn't. And sat there, watched them eat their meal, knowing that she was murdering them. She was killing them. And when she said goodbye to them, I wonder if she gave them a kiss. Wonder if she gave them a kiss when she saw them off after that meal, knowing that they were dead people walking, because they were carrying inside them the deadly death cap mushroom that she had put in their beef Wellingtons. And they were carrying it inside them. And a couple of days later, they were dead. They died an agonizing death, and she knew it. She sat there, watched them eat every mouthful, let them sit there and pray for her because she told them she had cancer. And I wonder if she gave them a kiss. It's almost like she is like Lady Macbeth to me. She is the Lady Macbeth. To sit there and watch somebody eating something that is going to kill them. That's pretty special, isn't it? Pretty, on the scale of evil. That's another thing I should have. An evil scale. She's off the roof. Sometimes people kill people in a fit of passion, and I'm not saying that's right. Of course it's not right. But, these are human emotions, to sort of feel jealousy or rage, in a moment. But for someone to plan it like she did, planned it, prepared the meal, got the mushrooms, waited for the right time, etc. And it seems like she probably tried to poison her estranged husband before that, and she would have. He was invited as well. It's a special sort of crime. Erin is probably one of the worst. Anyway, this come up a little bit of a controversy because when the jury were deliberating, and they were deliberating for quite a long time, they had a lot of evidence to process. The prosecution called over 50 witnesses, lots of experts. Then Erin, she was the only witness to take the stand for the defence. But she testified for 3 days. So the jury had a lot to mull over. So it took, I think it was at least a week, wasn't it, for their deliberations. And they were sequestered. In other words, that once they went out to deliberate, they could not go home. They had to go and stay in a hotel. Now, Erin had elected to have her trial in Morwell, which is a tiny place, tiny village in Australia, whereas she could have had it in Melbourne in the Supreme Court, but she chose to have it in Morwell. So I personally think she chose to have it there because she thought that the jury that would have been chosen from that area would be more likely to believe her, because they were all like these victims. They were nice people, you know, like trusting people, religious people, you know, probably they would want, you know, they're not cynical, like maybe right from the beginning thinking, oh, she's guilty. They were wanted to believe Erin, and she knew it. She thought she could pull the wool over their eyes. Anyway, she failed miserably, like she's failed in everything in her life. Erin is a failure. The only reason she failed at being an air traffic controller, she failed when she went to university or whatever. She never finished anything off. She's failed as a mother. She's failed as a wife. She's failed at everything she tried to do. The only thing she was successful in was foraging death cap mushrooms and putting them in a beef Wellington. But she failed at covering her tracks. She's supposed to be a super sleuth who was on these Facebook groups, true crime Facebook groups. She's failed at everything in her life. She is a failure. So she failed in choosing the right place to have her case heard. But the problem is that when the jury was sequestered, because it's such a small place, it's not exactly, you know, like Benidorm where there's loads of hotels. So they were staying, they think, it said, at the same hotel. They were put up in the same hotel as the media that were there for the trial, and also like the prosecution and the defense. Everyone was staying in this hotel because it was the only bloody hotel in Morwell. So where else were people going to stay? You know, so this is the issue. So, you know, this is something that Erin could try to use to say this compromised the jury or something. But I personally don't think it's going to come to anything, because I think they'd have to prove that the jury did talk to like the media or to the, you know, and I think the media would be avoiding talking, so the media don't want to get into trouble from the judge. And then, of course, the defense and the prosecution, well, certainly the prosecution wouldn't want to talk to them because they wouldn't want a mistrial. The defense, I'm not sure, you know, maybe, but, you know, these are very serious things. The defense aren't going to think, oh, yeah, I want to win this case, so I'm going to go and pretend I'm talking to one of the jurors, you know, because that they could end up being disbarred, couldn't they, for that? So I personally don't think it's going to come to anything, but it is being mentioned. So I'm just going to show you a video about it. So don't forget, as always, let me know what you think about it. Do you think it will make any difference to the appeal if she does appeal? Do we know? I don't think we know for certain that she is going to appeal, but she may do.
There's a new twist in Erin Patterson's mushroom murder trial. Nick McCallum, there's now an investigation into the jury's deliberations.
Peter, where they stayed and who else was there is now at the centre of an investigation launched by the Commissioner of Juries Victoria. The group of 12 who convicted Erin Patterson as a triple murderer was sequestered during deliberations, but they stayed at the same hotel as the lead investigator, two of the prosecutor's solicitors and members of the media. Chief Justice Beale was made aware after the fifth day of deliberations. He said it was obviously undesirable, but understood there was a shortage of accommodation in the region. The prosecution insisted its staff did not interact with the jury at any stage. 3 jury keepers were with the group the entire time. Patterson has been behind bars since her arrest in 2023. She'll be sentenced over the deaths of her relatives later this year. Peter?
Nick McCallum, thank you.
Yeah, so it's is it worrying? Anyway, I just want to say hello to people that have come in and say thank you to, oh, so it's you, Maria. Hi, Michelle. Thank you so much, Claire. Thank you. Very kind. Let me put my thank you up. There it is. Thank you for the Ko-fi. So kind. Really, really kind. Thank you. Hi, Excel. So, Excel. Hi, Yvonne. Hi, Maria. Another Maria. We have a lot of Marias. So Excel's asking, do you think it's possible that Erin was never charged earlier? Yeah, I do. I think what happened, because for those who don't know, that it's felt that Erin tried to kill her estranged husband Simon. At least I think wasn't it 3 or 4 times. Once with a chicken wrap, once with some brownies. Now we know that she likes to put mushrooms in brownies, because she admitted herself that she was putting dried mushrooms in her own children's chocolate brownies, not death cap mushrooms. But that might come later on. Do you know what I mean? I think these kids are so lucky because Erin is a psychopath. And yeah, I agree. I think getting away with it, when killers get away with things, they get emboldened to do it again, don't they? You know, even Erin really is a serial killer in a way, isn't she? I mean, I know she sort of killed them all at once rather than with a cooling off period, but she killed 3 people, and she would have killed 4 if Ian wouldn't have miraculously survived. They do get emboldened, because every serial killer, there's always a first time, isn't there? First time that they kill. And that kill must be like, if you've ever watched the interviews with Ed Kemper, he's a serial killer. And his interviews are fascinating because he likes to talk. You know how some killers never come out with what they did, really properly. He's like the opposite. They couldn't shut him up in the end. Once he was caught, he couldn't stop talking. So you do get killers like that as well. They can't stop. BDK, bind, torture, kill. BTK was the same. Once they've got someone to talk to about it, they've been doing this for years, normally when they get caught, or certainly we're in the 70s and 80s before forensic, DNA and things. They've had can't talk about it with anyone. You can't go home and your wife says, oh, did you have a good day, dear? And it's like, oh yeah, I murdered 3 people, or I murdered someone. They're dying to talk about it. That's what normally ends up with them getting caught, or used to. I mean, Ed Kemper, he actually gave himself into police in the end because he was waiting to be caught. And no, the police didn't come after him. So he phoned the police and turned himself in. And once they got him in there, he never stopped talking. There's loads of his interviews on YouTube, etc. And they are fascinating because, first time he killed, he would have been expecting to get caught. He was expecting to get caught. And then each different kill that you do, you get more and more emboldened. And then often as well, they start to unravel in the sense they start to make mistakes because they get sloppy because they haven't been caught yet, so they haven't been caught yet. So they start to, relax, if you like, and make mistakes that maybe in the beginning they didn't make. I think that's quite a typical thing of serial killers. So I think that's probably what happened. She's a serial poisoner, isn't she? And I think that, who knows what she got away with before that? Do you know what I mean? I still think they need to look right into Erin's history, right from when she was young. What other times did she try and kill people? This is her answer to things, isn't it? You know, we all get angry with people, we get pissed off with people, don't we? But we don't normally kill them. You know, we might feel like it. Oh, my phone's buzzing a lot. Don't know why. Oh, that's probably the Ko-fi. Thank you. Yeah, we all get pissed off with people. You know, people are a pain a lot of the time when they don't do what you want them to do. You don't normally sit down and plan how you're going to poison them. I think Erin's probably done quite a lot of things, maybe that we don't even know about. And she's not a talker killer. I don't think she'll ever admit to anything unless she's forced into it. And even when she's forced into it, she tries to lie her way out of it. But it is fascinating when you know, that's one reason maybe for not having the death penalty. Ed Kemper didn't get the death penalty. I'm not sure why, because he killed loads of people. But maybe there wasn't the death penalty in his state. But I think it was California, though. I haven't said that. Need to look into that. But one reason to make, you know, especially if they're talky ones, is to try and find out things. You know, Ed Kemper has helped in other cases because, you know, the police have gone to him and asked him things, and he's got a unique insight into a serial killer's mind because he is one. He understands better than most people, you know, what makes them tick, what mistakes they might make, you know, how to think like them, because he is one. So I think it's very difficult for us and for the police to understand motives. Like Erin's motive, they kept saying, oh, she didn't have a motive. Well, her motive was hate, spite. You know, she didn't need a motive. Same with Brian Kohberger with the Idaho 4. There's no point trying to understand the way these people's minds work, because, you know, Ed Kemper might be a better person to ask about why does he think Brian Kohberger did it. He understands the way that people's minds, these foul people, the way that their minds work. If your mind doesn't work in that way, it's very difficult to get your head around it, isn't it? But, you know. Hi, Angel. Exactly. The thing is, if you know, you can understand it really, because if you went into, if you can't see people in chat, you should be able to see it up on the. I don't think Claire has actually chatted though, but she just bought a Ko-fi. So, but yeah, even if you're in the other, because you know I've got the two channels. I have put the chat up on the screen, so you should be able to see it on the screen, but it's quite small, isn't it? Yeah, but Angel, I don't think Simon knew then. He hadn't realised. He hadn't realised until this, I think. So, but I know what you mean. You think he would be suspicious, but I don't think he was. So, sorry, I was going to say something else then, and it's gone out my head. So, yeah, at the end of the day, serial killers, they are fascinating. I think they're fascinating to us because we want to understand, but we will never understand. And the thing is, we're going to look at another killer. You know, killers don't look like you imagine that they will look like. You know, people would probably look at Erin and think she's like typical 50-year-old mum, like, you know, just, I don't know, just doesn't look anything remarkable, does she? But, you know, it's all going on here. You just don't know what's going on in people's heads. And killers do not look like what you think they'll look like. And Ted Bundy himself said that. He said killers don't come out drooling and looking like monsters. I mean, he's the last. I think the fascination with Ted Bundy is he is the last person you would expect to be a killer, serial killer. You know, he was he was popular with women. He didn't have a problem with women. He wasn't like, you know, on the do you think they're like loners and, male killers like that, sex killers? You think that it's because they can't find a woman, because women are interested in it. Women loved him. He is an attractive man. He was an attractive man. He had no shortage of women. So it wasn't about that. I don't know if he even knows why I did it. He said once to a prison officer, who asked him, why did you do it? And he said, because I liked it. Because I liked it. That's why he did it. Didn't do it because he said himself he had no trauma in his childhood. There's a lot made of the fact that he was illegitimate. As if how many illegitimate people are there in the world? It's like ridiculous to say that. Oh well, he was illegitimate. Yeah, along with millions of other people. It's just crazy to say it was anything to do with that. So you can't understand it. You can't get your head around it because luckily we don't think like that. But it fascinates us. I think it's because it's so alien to us. You can't understand how someone could do that. To me, as I always say, I can understand how someone can snap in a moment of rage. I can understand that. But how someone can plan to kill like these vulnerable people, elderly people who've done nothing but be nice to her, and then to sit down and watch them eating what would kill them. I can't get my head around that. That's just beyond me. So let's hope that this doesn't make any difference to is she going to appeal? I don't think she's officially said she's going to appeal. I'm not sure. But if she does appeal, is it going to make any difference? Personally, I don't think it's going to make any difference, but, maybe. But I just wanted to let you know about it because, of course, a lot of you have been interested. We followed that trial, didn't we, right from the beginning? Weeks and weeks and weeks. Let's hope it doesn't make any difference. So that's the first thing I wanted to tell you. Hi, Tracy. You're still half asleep, Yvonne. And this about Erin maybe having Asperger's or what. I'm not doing that. Honestly, I'm sick of people using things as excuses. Loads of people have Asperger's, and I know that, I know that supposedly means they can't empathize as much, and stuff like that. But I just stop using it as an excuse. There's people with autism, people with Asperger's, people with all sorts of mental illnesses or neurodivergence or whatever, call it what you like. They don't do that. I don't believe that. There's too much planning involved in. Sometimes people are just evil. I do believe that. Some people are born evil. And if you believe in evil, if you believe in God, then you have to believe in the devil as well. So do people get your whole life is almost like a choice between good and evil, even in little things. Even in little things, you're always thinking, I know I shouldn't really do that, but can I get away with it? Oh, that's what I was going to say. What somebody said earlier, yeah, you would get emboldened with any crime. If you got away with it the first time, if you're a shoplifter, or maybe you're not a shoplifter, but you're in the shop one day and you think, I wonder if I could just take that. Maybe you haven't got enough money for everything you want, or maybe, I don't know, maybe you're just in that sort of mood one day where you feel like doing something dramatic, I don't know. And you think, and you do get away with it, You know, like you, I don't know, steal a bloody, I don't know, a mascara or something, and you get away with it, and then you think, would you think then, oh, got away with getting that mascara? Next time I'll go for something a bit more expensive, or you know, would you become emboldened because you? And it's really what Erin did. It's only a more exaggerated view, isn't it? She's got away with trying to kill her ex-husband or estranged husband several times, and God knows who else maybe she tried to kill, or even succeeded in killing but never got found out. Yeah, she's thinking, I can get away. I'm super sleuth. I'm so intelligent. People telling her all the time how intelligent she is. She's not intelligent. She's away. I think my own personal thoughts on Erin is she's jealous of her sister. She grew up entitled. You know, she thinks the world owes her a living, and she's had a life that most people would be delirious with. She's never had money problems. She's not had to worry about how she's going to pay her electric bill. Not worried about paying a water bill or this, that, or the other. She's had money. She's money bags. Miss Moneybags, but she's just not enough for her. There's nothing wrong with her mentally, I don't think. She's just nasty, evil, personally. That's what I think. But so, sorry, I'm looking at. Yeah, she's just damned evil. I agree. Evil. Evil. I've gone beyond these people who are trying to explain things with, like Brian Koberger, they were trying to say he was autistic. Shut up. You know, the defence will, thing is, these defence barristers, they'll use anything. It's like sometimes when there's a case of someone killing someone during sex, and now it's this, oh, well, we were having rough sex. You know, that's it's just rubbish. People will use anything, try and blame other people. Look at Richard Allen with the Odinist rubbish and what have you. You know, and they bring these things in and they cause doubt. That's what the defence team's job is. But some of them, they have no ethics whatsoever. They're trying to get someone who's clearly, you know, Brian Koberger's defence lawyer knew from the beginning he was guilty. And they tried what they tried to do, well, they tried to come up with the autism defence. Then they tried to insinuate that other people had done it. And it cast aspersions on the other people, the other victims that were in the house, you know, and not the ones that died, but the ones that were living there. They were casting aspersions on everybody. And then suddenly Brian Koberger was like, oh, no, I'm guilty, because he knew the evidence was too much. He was going to get the death penalty. And there's only one thing that a murderer is scared of, and that's themselves dying. They don't think twice about bringing death to other people, like Ted Bundy, like BTK or whatever. I mean, I don't know if he's scared of dying or not, but he didn't get the death penalty. He's still alive, using up tax dollars. And Brian Koberger, Ted Bundy, terrified of dying. It's ironic, really, isn't it? Well, they're terrified of dying because they're going here. Look, I'm going to... It's got Erin's there going. I need to tell, I've got Erin's face on it, but do you know what? That could be any of these twonks. That's where they're going. Down.